The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to the Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe.
I'm Brad Jackson.
That made it sound all dramatic when you did that.
I mean, I'm here for the effects. That's
Dun, dun,
literally
dun.
my only purpose is to be here for the effects.
Except we're like cheap, so we don't have one of those cool soundboards. We just have to do it all like Foley style. Just make our own sound effects.
I mean, I'm trying to relive the greatness of the 70s musical era, you know, where you had a sound in your head and you had to figure out how to make that sound.
It's like you watch some of
Like,
those
we got
old,
too dependent on electronics and computers and whatnot.
That's like watching like the old like behind the scenes of like Star Wars and stuff, where it's like, to make these laser sounds, I'm gonna go out to this power pole and hit on the support beam with a hammer, and that makes the pew pew sound.
Because that's exactly what that's designed to do.
Well, anyway, this week we're smoking The Stubborn Fool by a Diesel.
Who's a diesel?
He's this mechanic.
Oh, he's a diesel mechanic that, you know, just happened to get into the cigar game.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Diesel Cigars, they're starting a new kind of a trilogy of cigars, they said, called the Fool's Errand, from the minds of Justin Andrews and A.J. Fernandez, who, like I said, is like the mercenary of the cigar world. He makes cigars for pretty much anybody at this point. And they're all pretty fucking good.
I mean, that's the thing is, you know, we've talked time and time again about his involvement with so many different manufacturers and stuff like that. And, like, every time I'm like, that's not bad. But I guess then again, like, if you're legit, like, putting your name on something, like, it can't be bad because you only get one shot at that.
Yeah, it's like, I just wonder if he, like, saves his best ideas for his own brand and, like, that's a pretty good idea, but I'm not gonna use that one. Let me coordinate with this other brand for this idea.
Marketing.
Yes, so this is going to be a part of a trilogy of cigars they're calling the Fool's Errand, and the first one is the Stubborn Fool, which only comes in a perfecto size, which is a kind of a wee bastard with a nippled foot.
It's like a miniature football, where it kind of tapers on each end and sort of fat in the middle.
Kind of like me. But yeah, this is going to be an annual release, with whatever the next version of the Fool next year comes out. But this one is Nicaraguan and Honduran fillers with a Honduran leaf binder, and then finished off with a dark, oily Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
I was going to say that wrapper there, you know, has that dark, oily, you know, but most of the diesel, well, I don't know. I mean, the Whiskey Row, I think, was a lighter shade, if I remember, right?
Yeah, the original Whiskey Row, I can't remember but then they had the Sherry Cask, which was a much darker wrapper.
Like, that to me almost looks like, almost it doesn't have quite enough black in it for the, you know, Kentucky Fire Cure
I think
stuff.
it's the last thing I smoked that was in this kind of size of the. But
what was the one that Diesel had? Like, I remember you used to buy them because it's like, this cigar is steampunk, and it always had like that, you know, metal cog on it.
No, I think it was it wasn't Diesel. It was like Foundry cigars. I used to like buy them just to get the cog, but I don't think they make those anymore. I haven't seen one in forever. But yeah, I've used those cogs on a lot of.
I guess they were on the same shelf.
Thing, yeah, they were in that. But another interesting thing about this cigar is like the each box comes with like a tarot card that for this one is for the Stubborn Fool, but also has like a QR code that you can scan that enters you into some kind of contest and drawing. So if you buy a box of these, you might be able to win some prizes.
Yeah, and these are, you know, smaller boxes, too, because they're only 10 counts, right?
Yeah, a little 10 count of these wee perfectos.
But I kind of dig that, though.
It is definitely a full-bodied cigar for its size, so, you know, it's not...
Well, you know what they say, Joe. Dynamite comes in small packages. I don't know who they are, but I've heard them say that. You know, they.
I don't know. Every time I've seen Dynamite, it's come in a pretty good sized crate.
I mean, once you take it out of the crate.
True enough. Like a stick's not that big, but yeah. C4 comes in pretty small packages too. You get like a 1 pound brick of that.
I don't resort to violence.
Speaking of violence, this week we're talking about the latest Marvel Disney Plus series, The Moon Knight. And here's a little thing you can do if you want to like just run into a room and like drop your pants and go, "I am the Moon Knight." I've done that about 3 times now to my wife, and she finds it hilarious every single time. Probably not, but I do it anyway. But if you're going to fight some Egyptian gods, you should call in the Strike Force, strikeforceenergy.com. Use your promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order. Buy a bunch of it, and if your wife says, "Who spent all this money?" be like, "It wasn't me, it was Steven."
Or maybe that other guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But with that, we'll be right back with The Moon Knight. And welcome back. It's time to talk about all things Dark Side of the Moon. Oh no, that's Pink Floyd. I mean, Moon Knight. Yeah, that's the moon guy we're talking about.
I mean, isn't there a lunar eclipse happening soon?
Yeah, I think either tonight or last night. I think there was supposed to be like a blood moon lunar eclipse. Whatever crazy bullshit's going on.
I can't find a date.
I just saw a thing like popping up on the Facebooks that nope, that's Conchu knocking at the door.
Oh boy.
So that's the problem with moving my mic stand to the other side of the table since we're doing video now, is that I keep accidentally gesturing with my hand and like hitting my cigar on things.
Why are you talking with your hands on an audio podcast? That's why you got the camera. So it could be all animated and shit. Like
I always talk with my hands.
I know. I'm like, oh.
And sometimes I touch the tip of my cigar trying to do freaking shadow puppets and burn myself.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Or was that shit from Bring It On? Spirit fingers.
I think you have an unhealthy obsession with that film.
Yeah.
I still don't know that I've ever seen that film in its entirety.
Oh, I've seen multiple of them. Basically, I used to work a desk job that had a TV. So you're kind of stuck watching TV for 8 hours. You find a lot of weird shit, especially on night shift. I think I've watched all the
every
the
infomercial ever.
Yes. I've sat through several of the Bring
Billy
It On
Mays here with
marathons.
Shem Wow.
Or what's that, the goo that fixes all holes?
Flex Seal.
Yeah, Flex Seal. That's stuff looks good. Oh, but anyway, we're back to the MCU Disney Plus series, and I don't know if it was you or Marvel. It's like there's so much damn Marvel like TV shit that like now I feel lost if I don't watch everything Marvel.
Yeah,
it used to be just the movies. Now it's like now I gotta like watch all these freaking TV series.
And a series like this doesn't help me at all because literally I watched the first, maybe even the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, I've missed something. I have no fucking clue what's going on. Like, I'm not familiar with the comics. I'm not familiar with this, character. Like, I'm just like, so that's why I called you yesterday, and I'm like, hey, did this tie into something that I missed? He's like, nope, you literally won't have a clue what's going on, for the first couple of episodes, but then once you watch the series and rewatch, you're like, oh, there's all the clues that would have clued me in if I had a clue that those were clues to begin with.
Yeah, that's one of the things of all the Marvel series so far, this is the one that I'm like, all right, it takes a couple watches to like follow what's going on, because you're dealing with, if you're not familiar with Moon Knight, he's a Marvel vigilante / hero who gets his powers from Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon, but Mark Spector the character, in at least in the comics and even in this series, he ain't all there in the head. He's has what they used to call multiple personalities. He has dissociative identity disorder. So he has a couple dudes living in his head.
So, I mean, it's not that he doesn't... It's not that he isn't all there. He's got too much there. Like...
And sometimes he's literally not there. It's some other dude running the show.
My personality...
He's a meat mech with several drivers.
I can't afford to have a second personality. But man, would that be an awesome excuse? No, dear, I didn't fuck up. That was totally, this other dude that lives in my head.
Yeah, no, I totally didn't bang that other chick. It was Mark.
I kept saying, no, I don't like this.
But all I could do was sit in the mirror and watch. He took over the body and then took over that booty.
God. There's going to be like some Woodwalker, production, like...
Full Moon Night.
Yeah.
But it's spelled with an N.
Probably.
Yeah, that's definitely the porn parody of this. But yeah, it's one of those
I don't think I've ever seen anybody, like, I've seen a lot of parodies. I don't know if I've seen one that, would cause somebody to have to be wrapped up like a mummy.
Mummy porn. Instead of MILF, it's mummy I'd like to fuck.
We'll never be, just never is gonna happen. We're too far out there, man. Way too far out there.
This one is an intro to the character, so it's set in the MCU, and I'm assuming it'll be tied in to future MCU properties, but...
I don't know, dude. As dark as this is, this might turn into a DC flick.
Well, yeah, physically dark. Well, when you're the Moon Knight, you got to do stuff at night. But also, I've heard rumors that one of the upcoming either series movies, they're going to do the Midnight Suns. And that'd be badass, which is, if you're not familiar with Midnight Suns, it's kind of like Marvel's Paranormal Avengers. So it's like Ghost Rider and Moon Knight and Blade and like all the more supernatural Marvel characters teaming up to deal with some shit.
As much as I would love to see Blade again, like...
Oh, it's coming. Have you watched the Eternals yet?
Not yet.
I mean, it's on Disney Plus, so you don't have to go to a theater now, but there's a voice Blade cameo. Like, once you watch like all the post-credit scenes, spoiler alerts, there's a character who's about to pick up a cursed sword, and you hear a voice off camera go, "Do you really think you're ready for that?" And it's like, Marvel's confirmed that is the voice of Blade. So, yeah, that's... I don't remember if we've even gotten a release date for that yet, but that's on like the future slate of Marvel movies, is they're bringing back Blade.
There's only one guy that's...
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's not Wesley Snipes, but they're bringing Blade back.
I think at this point, like, would he be able to pull that off now? Like, he's up in age, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was... I mean, you saw him in the last Expendables movie. I mean, he's still badass even for his age. But the guy playing him, I can't remember the name right offhand because I didn't know we were going to be talking about Blade, was in the Luke Cage Netflix Marvel series. He played like one of the bad guys, and he was pretty good. So I'll give this dude... I haven't seen his martial arts credentials, but yeah, he was pretty good in Luke Cage. So
I mean, Blade, making comic book movies before comic book movies.
Yeah, that's cool. Like the OG beginning of the MCU. I mean, that was like, I think we had like 80s Batman at that time, but that's the first, I think, Marvel comic book movie we had was Blade. That I'm aware of, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think there might have been like some bad, cheesy 70s Captain America movies, but Blade was the first, modern Marvel comic movie. But yes, this miniseries created by Jeremy Slater, based on the Marvel comic character Moon Knight.
Did you read the comics?
I'm only from. It's like I saw a meme. It's like people are familiar with Moon Knight from like the memes he's in. He's definitely one of those. Like I've seen a ton of like Moon Knight comic memes, like the one where he's like, "Dracula, you son of a bitch, where's my $20?" You know, because apparently that's a real storyline where he kicked the shit out of Dracula because he owed him money. But no, Moon Knight was one of those like off characters that I'd never actually read previously. I went back and kind of did some Wikipedia research before the series started, just so I could kind of be sort of familiar with what I was going into. But yeah, it's like that's the thing. It's like the MCU has gone on for so long at this point that they're starting to like bring in like lower tier list characters that like aren't as kind of mainstream as like the original Avengers. So it's like this has gotten so big that there's like so much more that they can keep bringing into the movies. It's kind of amazing that like even the worst Marvel film so far has still been pretty worth watching.
Well, I mean, I think that's I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool, because like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love seeing, the Avengers, and the one-offs that, always gross $1 billion and everything else. But it's kind of cool to see something I'm not familiar with because, at that point, like, this doesn't feel like your typical superhero, film and whatnot. Like, these have legs to stand on that add some, different diversity, different dynamics, and, just keeps me engaged. Because if everything was, all right, it's another Avenger, it's another Captain America, like, great, I get it, they're cool, but give me something I haven't already seen.
And that's what's been cool about these Disney Plus series is gives you a lot more time to flesh out a story. If this was a Moon Knight movie, we would have got hour and a half, 2 hours, and
I mean, give me 3D Man.
They would not have been able to like really kind of deep dive in the story. And this is one of those too that like, I mean, some of the series have been longer. This one was only 6 episodes, and 6 episodes seemed like y'all trying to cram a lot of shit in 6 episodes. It's like, it's almost like, fuck, this should have been 10 episodes. Especially when we got to like episode 5, I'm like, there's a whole lot of loose ends here. Like, how the fuck are you going to wrap this up in like 45, 50 minutes?
Time travel.
But yeah, it seemed like that they set up.
Actually, in this one, no, it's scarabs. All about scarabs. Scabs.
Book of the Dead. Now, I wanted to see a cameo from whatever homeboy from the Mummy movie. Maybe like freaking what the hell is the mummy's name? Freaking Khonshu has to fight Imhotep.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that far off, honestly. Like, I don't know. I mean, as I was watching this, I'm like, okay, cool. I got some Indiana Jones. I got some Assassin's Creed. Like, but I kind of feel like we're doing Night at the Museum, but we're in a psych ward instead.
But yeah, if we start off with like episode 1, but anyway, before Oscar Isaacs, dude is like a legit actor. Like, all right, I'm not a huge fan of the new Star Wars trilogy, and Poe Dameron was like, all right, he's just like your generic sci-fi hero guy. But now seeing Oscar Isaacs in this, I'm like, holy fuck, he's a good actor. Because I mean, he's playing essentially 3 different characters, or at least 2 different characters, simultaneously interacting with each other, and they're completely different, fleshed out characters. Like when he's Stephen Grant, his mannerisms, his movement, everything is different from when he's playing Mark Spector. Like they're so 2 different characters that there's times, especially in the one episode where they're in like the afterlife and they actually finally physically meet, and then it's not this him talking to his reflection in a mirror. It's like have a hard time like realizing this is the same guy. I mean, he played both characters so well that it's like, fuck, this should be two dudes. Does he have a twin brother?
How does that contract work? Like, we get it. You're one guy, but you're going to play two guys.
And you're going to spend a lot of time arguing with yourself.
I'm going to need a bigger pig.
Oh, and you got Khonshu, Moon Knight is the fist of Khonshu, because apparently in the Moon Knight realm, Egyptian gods are real, but they can't really physically interact with humanity, so they have to have these avatars, and we're not talking about the blue cat people, but, to do their bidding.
Why not? Such striking visuals.
The trailer for that, too. As much as I don't care about Avatar, it looks amazing.
Really? You didn't like the
I saw it once, and I was like, well, this is spectacularly visually, but storyline, I was just like, saw it once. That was enough.
I don't know. See, I saw it in IMAX, and, I think that might have been where my headspace was, wow, look at all the visuals.
Yeah, it was like, effects-wise, it was mind-blowing, but I'm just like, It's one of those things that you had to see it on IMAX, because if you try to watch it when it came out on video, you're like, this is just Dancing with Wolves. That's what it's going to sit. You're like, wait a minute, Dancing. Fuck, it is kind of dancing. Or I've heard it called Dancing with Smurfs.
Thanks, Joe.
Just melted your brain.
Yep. This is my brain.
Oh.
Eggs.
And I got to say, the bad guy in this is Ethan Hawke, who plays Harrow, which is a former Moon Knight who is also like now worshiping Ammit, who is basically, she wants to Thanos the world. It's like where Moon Knight is like the spirit of vengeance, and he's like, if people do bad things, like, we will punish them. But she's like, oh no, I can see everyone's entire lifetime, and they might not be evil now, but there's a potential for them to do evil later on, so we should just kill everybody right off the bat and don't give them the chance to do anything evil.
Yeah, that was kind of the, a cool sort of turning point where, you start talking about the, ability to have choice, and she basically omits any choice.
It was kind of like that movie, The Minority Report, where it's like they're punishing people for future crimes that they may commit. But yeah, you've always got a chance to like change your mind. You don't have to be evil. Humanity has the ability to change, but not according to Ahmed. Fuck them all. But I got to say, Arthur Harrow, freaking Ethan Hawke, plays a creepy son of a bitch like perfectly. I mean, he's that unsettling evil where it's like,
sometimes it takes a creepy person.
But yeah, he's like, so like, oh no, I'm trying to save the world. Very much like
very manipulative and
cult leader-esque, where it's like you never see him like raising his voice and getting like violent with people. It's just that very like calm, like, come, you must be judged by the scales, and
dude, the like, scales balance.
This this is for your own the world's good.
Oh, here, I made Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's like, I wish you could live to see the world we're creating. I mean, he's just like legit creepy. And that whole like opening sequence in episode 1, him like putting glass in his shoes and like walking around, and the audio editing on it, like if it's quiet, every time you can listen, you can hear the crunch of the glass as he's walking through the entire series. It's like that little like sound effect is like crunch, crunch, crunch. You're like, oh, that dude's still got fucking glass in his shoes.
You know why? You know why they do that, right?
Yeah, he's like trying to like those people that like need to punish themselves to like watch.
Not
their
even
souls.
that. How do you run law enforcement? So what's one way people try to beat the lie detector?
By
putting the thumbtack
in their shoes, and they can like elevate their levels.
That's exactly what he's doing. Like, I'm just trying to keep on an even plane here.
Yeah, maybe when my evil god comes back, she won't judge me too harshly. But yeah, like episode 1, I really had to like. Episode 1 is such a mindfuck, and that's the thing that kind of annoys me about the Disney Plus is it's like week to week instead of, you were able to watch it in one sitting, but seeing it week to week after that first episode, I'm like, the fuck's going on here? I gotta go back and watch this shit again.
And the reason I wait is, like, if I were to watch that first episode, like, I'd be like, I'm lost. I don't know what the hell's going on. And I probably wouldn't have tuned in for the following weeks. Like, whereas, hey, you don't know what's going on, but, the dots will connect. Don't give up on it too soon. Great. But if I had to wait, like, a month, like...
Yeah,
dude,
I'm like your canary in the cave. I have to watch shit first, 'cause I have to see it, like, as it's coming out so I don't get spoilers. And then I'm like, all right, it's time for you to watch this. Like, don't make any judgment till you're, like, on episode 3. Because I'm going to tell you right now, episode 1, not going to make any fucking sense. Hell, episode 3 is not going to make any sense.
I think by episode 6... it started to sort of click, but then we wrapped the show up.
Yeah, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's what's going on there. There was 3 guys. But that first episode, you're introduced to Stephen Grant, who's kind of a nerd who works...
Not to be confused with Dr. Alan Grant.
Yeah, who works at the whatever British Museum in London and is, super nerd, but he's like... thinks he suffers from like sleepwalking. So I mean he chains himself to his bed. He keeps like a circle of sand around the bed so he can see if he's like got up and walked around, and even puts tape on his door and like this very like meek nerdy life. And then it turns out his sleepwalking is, oh no, like you have another personality that like Mark, who is kind of like the prime personality, knows of Steven's existence, but Steven doesn't know of Mark's existence at the start of this. So like, Steven just thinks he's sleepwalking. Well, then he wakes up in the middle of a mission in the Alps because apparently Mark or somebody was stealing some shit and like knocked himself out jumping out of a window. And of course he wakes up in the middle, like, I'm going to stay up all night reading my Egyptian books and doing all these things to try to like stay awake. And then like, I'm in the Alps with getting chased by a cult. What the fuck's going on?
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
And then Contra is like, give the body back to Mark. He's like, what? He's like, oh no, the idiot's in charge. You're not supposed to be here, worm. He's like, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to be here. What the fuck's going on? Why am I talking to this giant bird monster? You're like, I hope this is a dream because this is fucked up. But yeah, that first episode, up until like the very end, you only see things from the Steven personality's perspective. So there's a lot of this like, he's about to get his ass kicked.
Well, I mean, you're just as confused and perplexed as he is, I'm sure.
Yeah, they do a very good job of like putting like his confusion to the audience, because it's like, yeah, he wakes up and, like, there's the moments where like, Mark or whoever is able to take the body back to get him through like the action sequences. So you're getting these, what's probably some like really badass action sequences, but you're just getting jumped from like him like, oh no, I'm about to get my ass kicked. And then he like wakes up a second later and like everybody's like dead and his hands are covered in blood. He's like, what the or that fucking car chase sequence where he kept like zoning out, waking back up, and like cars are getting run off the road, and
it's like, I've got a gun in my hand. Like,
yeah, and freaking Conchu giving him shit the whole time. Like he like wakes up where he's got the gun in his hand, the window's blown out, and there's like a car like there. Suddenly he's driving in a reverse, and a car's coming straight at him. He's just like, and throws the gun at the other car, and he's like, did you just throw the gun? Jesus, Mark, if he loses that scarab, I'm gonna kill you both. He's like, what the fuck's going on? And I gotta think like the other side of that, like the day-to-day life of like, him stumbling into this big thing, is all the time Mark has had to like come home, feed the fish, set up all the sleepwalking traps before he goes back to bed so Steven doesn't know what the hell's going on. That's almost like another entire series of Mark trying to like cover up the shit he's doing so Steven doesn't figure out what's going on.
Why every time do I get up to go pee do I fall on my face?
Or he wakes up after that 2 days in the Alps and his fish has died. And he's concerned enough with him that he went and bought him a new fish. But he's like, this fish has 2 fins. My fish only has 1 fin. Like, this is impossible. And that's when you start getting those, like, clues. You know, he goes to the pet store and he's like, with the fish, he's like, is it possible a fish can regrow a fin? He's like, dude, like I told you earlier, we don't sell one-finned fishes. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's the first time I've been here. And the vegan guy trying to go to a date at the steak place, which because like going back and watching it again, there's so many little clues that there's something else besides Steven and Mark that, like, all right, Mark's married. Who the hell set up this date that Steven, like, knows nothing about at a steak place, no less? Because he's like, oh, I'm vegan. Bloody hell. Jake's trying to get him some.
I had vegan steak. You can't really... Like, that's my problem. Like, don't call it vegan steak. Like, just leave steak out. Be like, this is a plant-based meat product. And yeah. I'll go into it with a different... Because if I'm expecting steak, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, it's steak for people who don't know what steak tastes like.
Oh, they know. They know.
And they just wish they could experience that again. I'm not, like, throwing some kind of, like, fake meat on my Traeger. No. That's just blasphemy. Until I have to, like, go on some kind of diet because my doctor makes me, and I'm like, I want meat again.
You know, like, as much as I shit on a lot of that stuff, like, I've had the veggie burgers and stuff, and as long as you don't go into it thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a hamburger, like, you're going to be all right. Like, the problem is like, too many people, like, no, this is, you know, it's impossible to tell the difference. No, don't tell me that, because now I'm looking for the difference. Like,
yeah, you're just lying to yourself at that point. And it's like, I understand it's a healthy lifestyle. It has its benefits, but it's the people that are like the moral vegans that want to tell you like about why they're vegan and how eating meat is wrong. And they're like, shut the fuck up.
Or you just get a sweet, you know, face tat that says vegan because you're tired of telling everybody.
The only meat I put in my mouth is ...
Impossible.
Oh, but yeah, you know, and Steven not knowing what the fuck's going on, running into Harrow, and he's like, "Here, yeah, sure, I'll give you the scarab back," and the hand keeps pulling back. What? He's like, "No, I'm not a mercenary. I work at the gift shop.
I'm literally trying to give this thing to you. Just take it."
But then, you know, the bad guys show up at the museum, and he's like, fuck, that wasn't a weird dream. This shit's real. What's going on? And, you know, he sends the jackal monster after him. And I gotta say, I love the reveal of the Moon Knight suit, because, like, he's, like, running from this jackal and ends up in the, locked in a bathroom, and it's tearing the door apart, and, like, Mark pops up in the mirror, and he's like, come on, man, I can save us. You just have to give me the body. He's like, okay. And then you, like, before he can even transform, Jackal busts through the door and jumps on him. And then it immediately cuts to, like, outside the bathroom in the hallway. And then you see the Jackal try to, like, claw its way out. He's like, fuck, this isn't... I found something I don't want. And then gets dragged back into the bathroom.
Abort mission.
And then, you know, finally comes around the corner, so you can just see, like, him in his full Moon Knight glory beating the fuck out of the Jackal. And then Steven wakes up in his bed again, like, I gotta quit having these weird-ass dreams. But yeah, him going back to the museum and finding it trashed and like, oh, bro, we gotta watch the security footage. You're just gonna blow your mind. And it turns out he's like the only one that can see the jackal, so they all think he trashed the museum. And he gets fired.
Don't worry, though. They're not pressing charges. It's okay.
We know you've got problems. Just go see this doctor. It'll be all good. So then he starts kind of doing his own investigating, and he's like, well, I found this phone, and some girl keeps calling me named Layla and calling me Mark, and there's a freaking key to some storage locker, and finds, like, Mark's badass, like, survivalist, like, locker. I'm like, ooh, I want one of these. I want a secret storage locker full of guns and money. This would be pretty sweet.
For the small price of 80 bitcoins, you too.
Nah, the crypto market's crashing. It'll probably take you double that now. Bitcoin ain't worth what it was.
I saw a thing where I forgot what it was. Oh, a guy offered like something like either 8,800 or 88,000 bitcoins. This is back in its infancy when it didn't even have value, for 3 pizzas. He's like, fast forward 7 years. He's like, I forgot how many millions of dollars. Like, but I'm with you. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I sold all what little I had.
How'd you do, buddy?
I lost half of what I originally invested. I put $100 in. I got $50 back. And it's still like going down farther. I'm like, no, fuck this. But speaking of which,
you were supposed to be in it for the long haul, Joe.
Yeah, no. Once it starts going back up, I may buy some more when it's super cheap again. But right now, it's like, this shit's going to the basement.
Yeah, but that's when you want to buy, because if it does go up, then that's all profit. Like, even if it increases by, pennies. Like, hey, I bought this thing for, whatever, 1 cent. I sold it for 4 cents. I mean, come on. I literally watched a guy try to trade, Pokemon cards, where he's like, I'm going to start with this penny card. I'm going to trade it for a, 3 penny card. And,
Then I'm going to buy a house with this freaking paperclip I traded for. Did you notice the QR code on the wall at the storage locker? If you're unaware, throughout the Moon Knight series, there's QR codes on different things. There's like on the walls or on signs or whatnot. If you pause it and scan those codes, it takes you to free copies of like special certain Moon Knight comics that are kind of, I guess important to the story. So yeah, if you want to read some free Moon Knight comics, go back, rewatch Moon Knight, and pause it. Pause it anytime you see a QR code and scan it. It'll give you a free comic.
I'd seen pictures of the character, but I had not read it. But seeing this, I'm like, it's kind of cool. Like, I like history. I like the play on Egyptian gods and the different sets and environments, and like, I'd like to give it a read.
Yeah, I think if you scan that first QR code at the mini storage place, it takes you to like the first introduction of Moon Knight, which was in Werewolf by Night. I don't know what number, but that's like the first appearance of Moon Knight. And then I think there's 2 or 3 other like QR codes throughout the series that takes you to other like kind of important entries in the Moon Knight universe.
Damn it. No more can I just idly sit by and sort of zone out when watching film, because I'm going to miss the interactive, entertaining, like it's going to be like one of those things, like before we had multiple DVDs or CDs and it'd be like, please insert disc 2. Now it's going to be like, please scan, QR code 3 prior to proceeding to, like...
Yeah, all these little interactive things. Like, pause now and go watch this other,
No, because I'm going to pick this thing up and then I'm going to be all distracted and I'm not going to make it back to your series.
I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole and then we're going to miss everything. But I like, I guess, episode 2 where Harrow finally sends his like cops that are part of his cult to like arrest Steven so he can try to get the thing after he's met Mark's wife, Layla, that he's like, I'm not Mark, I don't know what you're talking about, and which were named Kennedy and Fitzgerald. Little JFK reference there. For as long as we're talking conspiracies. John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Who?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
But yeah.
Why didn't you just say so?
Him sitting down with it, because at this point he doesn't really trust Steven, so he's not letting him, or Mark, so he's not letting him have the body. and he gets captured by Harrow, and Harrow tries to like, play the nice guy and like, hey, here's my cult. Look at this. I'm providing food and purpose for all these people. They just have to submit to judgment. And he's like, so y'all wipe up anybody who has any kind of like might do something bad in the future. Yeah. I don't think, I used to be a Moon Knight, and I don't think we should allow people to, if Amit had been not captured, she could have stopped Hitler and yada yada yada. And he's like, so what if it was a baby? Are y'all people into killing babies? Is this what this is? He's like, I get what you're saying, bro, but you gotta see it's a little fucked up. Oh, and then Layla shows up to save him, and she's like, you've got Mark's body, he can summon the suit. He's like, okay. He like jumps out the window and tries to summon the suit, and literally summons a suit. It like has his like Mr. Knight outfit, which is very proper 3-piece, which I like. I kind of like the Mr. Knight suit, and he's more of like a brawler than like Mark's more of a martial artist.
Kind of reminded me of like a Dick Tracy or something. Like like you don't see many people sporting the 3-piece like. Yeah.
But I like he does the superhero landing, and then is like just kind of rolls over. Ow, that hurt. It's like Deadpool told you, superhero landing's hard on the knees.
Superhero landing.
But then he sends the jackal after him again, and that whole like him like trying to, all right, float like a butterfly, sting like the bee, boxing this jackal in the middle of the streets, and only he sees it, and it's like he keeps cutting to like everyone else's perspective, and he's just like a crazy man out there, like some drunk weirdo, like trying to fight invisible people.
Dude, I think there's people on MARTA that are much more in tune to what's really happening in the world than we are.
Yeah, that could explain all those weirdos we've dealt with. That homeless guy just is talking to Conchu. He's not... That one guy swatting an invisible person is
No, we
fighting
can't
a
kill
jackal.
these two guys yet. There's still a chance they might make a good decision.
Probably not.
There's a chance. Okay? I didn't say it would happen. I said there's a chance.
But yeah, he finally gives the body back to Mark, and we kind of get our first full action sequence of the Moon Knight doing Moon Knight things.
Do you think this is how Eddie Brock and Venom feel?
Yeah, it is kind of the same thing, where it's like, yeah, them two kind of
two personalities,
over,
one body. Except this one is, your brain chemistry versus, hey, you got some black shit in you.
He's got some white shit in him.
Well, it's a good thing he's wrapped in toilet paper, and I'm out.
Oh, I saw a meme, and it was like, hey, it was like Deadpool talking to Moon Knight. He's like, hey, man, how do you get all the blood out of your white outfit? He's like, I don't know. I just like, my outfit's magical. Conchu, I guess, just like, cleans it or whatever. He's like, so like free dry cleaning? Dude, is he looking for a new avatar? He's like, oh, you don't want to do that, man. It's like, it'll drive you mad. He's like, dude, I'm already mad. Like, I can't get any crazier, and then I get free dry cleaning? Sign me up. Oh, did you see Deadpool being Conchu's avatar?
I mean, but there are a lot of similarities between Moon Knight and Deadpool. Like,
yeah, Amanda kept calling the Mr. Knight outfit Deadpool's gay cousin. She's like, it's just like, English gay Deadpool.
Just don't order a biscuit. You're going to be very sad that you're not getting an actual biscuit. It's a cookie.
We can do some tea dueling.
I'm good with a Nerf gun. I don't know how good I am on my tea duels, so.
It's been a while. I haven't tea dueled recently. Not since the last time we went to Ohio. And we've got May Kalamawi, I don't know how to pronounce, as Layla El-Faloui, who is the wife of Mark Spector, who, but yeah, when they go to, because of course at the end of this, Pharaoh gets the scarab, which is basically a compass to tell them where Ahmet is buried. And then we go like full Indiana Jones, where Mark is trying to track down Pharaoh's people in Cairo. And we almost had like the opposite of the first episode, where everything was shot from Steven's perspective, where it's like Mark is trying to like intimidate people and kick people's asses, and Steven keeps like saying, no, you're being too violent, and taking over the body and trying to like let people go. And he's like, so it's like the opposite of, he's like interrogating people, and then all of a sudden he wakes up in a cab heading back to the airport. He's like, damn it. I gotta go track these guys down again. And they're like, dude, you let us go. That wasn't me. Come back here. You haven't answered my questions yet. But it was like almost like the exact opposite of the weirdness that was in the first episode, where it was like, all right, now we're following the Mark personality and we don't get to see the shit Steven's doing. And that's when we get kind of our first, I guess, clue that there might be a third personality, when they're jumping back and forth of Steven keeps stopping him from interrogating these people. And then he wakes up at one point and he's like stuck a knife in some dude's chest. And he's like, Steven, what have you done? And it's like, I don't think Steven was stabbing people.
Steven getting a little stabby? A little stab happy?
His little secret stabby friend. And Steven's like, I didn't do that. Yeah, it's like, okay, Mark's getting confused now, so there's some weird shit going on. And then when they go to see that kind of antiquities dealer, who's kind of like some kind of mafia dude, and Moon Knight's having
everybody that deals in antiquities is in the mafia.
Yeah. And, you know, he's trying to fight all those dudes with spears, and he's like, you're being too violent, Mark. Here. And he takes over, and he's like, all right, time out. Come on, guys, let's just talk about this. And all of a sudden, he gets like 3 spears, and he's like, okay, take the body back. These guys aren't listening to me.
So he must have, like, I guess when Mark takes over, he gets regenerative properties or something? Like,
well, as long as he's got the suit on, he kind of heals himself, whether it's Mark or Steven. I mean, I guess the Mr. Knight outfit has pretty much the same properties of the Moon Knight outfit. But yeah, after he got like ran through a couple times, he's like, yeah, I'm not prepared for this violence. So yeah, you go ahead and take over. But then, yeah, the whole like him going and trying to convince the other Egyptian gods to help them, and Harrow coming in just like, this guy's obviously crazy. I'm not trying to destroy the world. And yeah, they just kind of like ignore him, which it's kind of like the perfect patsy, because it's like, you can always just, you know, if he like, you know, tries to tell everybody he's, you know, an Egyptian avatar, everybody like, no, you're a dude with mental disorder. So like nobody, you know, he's like the easiest guy to like, you know, be a fall guy, because he's obviously fucking crazy. So
yeah, nobody is, you know, none the wiser to the charade, which is kind of cool.
And I say the effect of them, they find a star map to the tomb, but it doesn't match our current stars, and Khonshu's like, all right, they're gonna like lock me up for doing this, but so be sure and break me out afterward, but here, let me like rewind the sky. That was a cool effect. It was like,
I enjoyed that.
If you were on acid in Egypt that day, you'd have been like, what the fuck, bro? I'm tripping balls. And everybody's like, no, we're seeing this too, homie.
What's in our desert sands? We don't have water in the desert.
Oh, and then, yeah, of course, Khonshu gets locked up in a little statue, and they lose the power.
So back in Egypt, I was like, oh my gods.
Nice. Oh, but then it does go like full Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider, where they're going through the tomb trying to find Ahmet before Harrow's able to get him. And yeah, this is where Imhotep needed to show up, because like the undead, like whatever sarcophagus protectors are like killing Harrow's men and chasing chasing Layla and Steven through the tomb. I do like Steven like kisses Layla and then Mark just takes over his hand and punches him in the face like, you kissed my wife. He's like kicking his own ass. So you son of a bitch. Come on, dude. It's the same body.
I don't want the over-dominant personality. Send the other one in. Like, I mean, that's got to be an ego kill.
Does that count as a threesome? You're having sex with someone with multiple personalities.
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to have all the personalities in one go.
Or what if one of the personalities was like gay and like, you know, changes personalities like mid-sex, like no. What's my safe word?
Your safe word is there is no safe word. Ha ha.
But yeah, that episode where, because at the end of it, Harrow catches up to him and shoots Steve and Mark in the chest, and like they die, and it immediately cuts to like a weird VHS, like instead of Tomb Raider, it's like the Tomb Busters movie with Dr. Stephen Grant, and he's in like an insane asylum with all the characters you've seen so far are other people in the insane asylum. Like Harrow's bad guys are the orderlies and shit. And it was literally, cause it cuts from him getting shot and screen going black to this black and white TV show. And I was literally like, did I hit a button on my computer and switch movies? Like I had to like stop and like, no, I'm still watching Moon Knight. I was like, what the fuck's going on? This was like the second mind fuck of the episode. Yeah.
There were quite a few. But then there were some really awesome moments that, you know, just I absolutely enjoyed, you know, visually and, you know, artistically. Like just like the pans from, oh, you're now in the underworld. This is my big boat. And inside the big boat has, you know, your entire life choices in front of it. Balance the scales.
Yeah, it's like your hearts aren't balanced, so you need to like remember.
Oh, no shit, I got two of them. I'm like the fucking Grinch over here.
Oh, but yeah, in that episode, before it gets into the whole like this is the underworld, ends with them like him finding Stephen in a sarcophagus and another sarcophagus that they haven't opened. Hint. And then the Egyptian hippo god Tawit appears like, hi. You're like, this like big ass hippo, and this has this like almost Valley Girl accent. Hi. And I'm like, oh. Like that was what finally got my wife to watch this series. She's like saw like that on TikTok, and she's like, I want to see the hippo lady. So it's like how I finally convinced her to watch Moon Knight. It was like fucking dumb TikToks of the hippo lady. But she was cool as shit.
So the clocks do have a purpose.
I like because I mean, no one's probably like worshiped the Egyptian gods in a while, so it's like it's probably been like a while since she had to like transport a soul to the afterlife. So she has like the note cards that are papyrus. She's like, wait a minute, it's been a while since I've done this. Here, I've got notes. Let me see this. Welcome to the afterlife. Here, oh, hold on, I need to pull your hearts out. Oh, I'm glad I didn't make your bodies explode. They're like, what? That was something that could happen? Don't worry. She is like hysterical. And then when she like offers to help and is trying to convince Layla to be her avatar, it's like, come on, I could be your avatar. Mark says lovely things about you. And then when finally she's like, all right, I'm in, let's do this. And like the ceiling's collapsing in the pyramid. She's like, when Tawit's talking through her body, she's like, oh, don't worry, I have a lovely outfit. It's fabulous. You're going to love it. And then she comes out like fucking golden wings and swords. I'm like, that's pretty badass. I'm like, she meets the Falcon, our new Captain America later on. They're going to be like, who's got the better wings? I kind of like hers better. I mean, you know, the golden scarab wings are pretty badass.
I don't know. So is this Marvel's Wonder Woman?
Maybe. I mean, kind of better than the DC, at least the last Wonder Woman movie. First was pretty good. That 1984 was garbage. But to backtrack a little bit, the whole, like, them going through Mark's past, through the rooms in the insane asylum, trying to find balance. Like, you see how he lost his mind. Like, his brother died, and his mom blamed him and, like, abused the shit out of him. And his dad just kind of, like, let it happen. And he just kind of created Steven to be the one that was happy and, like, you know, not afraid of anything, because he was, like, constantly afraid of his mother. And he eventually, like, just full on snapped, where he's like, you know, Steven believed his mom was alive and was talking to somebody on this phone that wasn't actually there all this time. But yeah, that whole episode was just, like, digging into Mark and Steven, and you know, Steven finally figuring out, oh, I am a creation of Mark. So when the whatever sand zombies start attacking him, he's like, wait a minute, you know, I am you, so if you can do things, I should be able to do things. It's all muscle memory, right? And he actually starts trying to be a hero and kicking a little ass. And when they finally, like, make it out of...
Our boy's becoming a man!
When they finally make it out of the underworld and back to life, yeah, they had that moment with Khonshu. He's like, you know, like, no, if we save the world, you're going to let us go. And he's very specific when they're going, okay, I will let the two of you go. He was very specific about that. And then you find out later on why. But yeah, when they show up to fight Harrow's men, and now they're kind of like a balanced personality where they trust each other, and they're flipping back and forth between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight throughout the fight. That was a cool effect. And I loved they even had different fighting styles where Steven was like more of a brawler with like the eskrima sticks, just fucking people up. And then Mark's more of like the ninja, like doing like all these, like, you know, gadget stuff, and, you know, these flying kicks, and much more martial arts heavy, where you know, Steven did a pretty sweet spinning heel kick, but yeah, he was much more of like the straight up brawler. I was like, it's kind of go, even when they're, you know, back and forth with their skills, you're like, oh yeah, it's still obviously two different people, because like their fighting styles like switch mid battle, and then you get I want to see the sequence where, because, you know, and you got the giant freaking kaiju battle in the background of Khonshu fighting Ahmet as like giants out in the desert going on in the background. I'm like, this is pretty fucking awesome.
I mean, like, that added such a level of epicness. Like, just, you know, how much bigger, like, to scale everything was. Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, that's almost big screen worthy.
Yeah, because there's this like 3-way battle with like the two of them and her fighting a powered up Harrow, and then yeah, Khonshu in the background fighting Ahmet, the giant alligator lady. I was like, this is fucking epic. And then you get where like he's starting to lose the battle, and then Mark blacks out again and wakes up, and like everybody's fucked up, and he's like got Harrow down. He's like, Steven, did you do that? He's like, no bloody way, mate. I don't know what the fuck. I want to see that fight scene. I want there to be like a whatever Moon Knight behind the scenes where they show like all the times Jake took over and like fucked people up. Cause I'm like, that had to be a badass action sequence that we did not get to see. Cause I mean, everybody is fucked up when he like wakes back up.
Oh, I think we'll see it, my friend.
Oh, that was freaking awesome. And then you get them trapping Ahmet inside Harrow's body, and he's like, "She's too dangerous to live. Kill her. Kill them both." And he's like, "No, you want him dead? Kill him yourself. I'm done being your puppet. Like, you said you'd let us go." He's like, "Fine, y'all are free." And then they go back kind of to the insane asylum thing. They're looking at Harrow, and he's bleeding from the feet, and they're like, yeah, we could accept this, but no, I think we're going to be heroes from now on. And like, piss off, dude. And they wake up back in the bed, and like, Mark's like, I can't believe you live in this shithole. And then forgets that he's chained to the bed. It falls on his face.
I mean, that's just a recurring theme. You know, whether you're chained to the wheelchair or... I gotta say, like, that must be a beefy-ass wheelchair. Like, even with the brakes locked, I kind of feel like you would drag it.
At least tip over. But then we get our first and only post-credits where now Harrow's the one in a legitimate insane asylum, and some chauffeur guy comes and, like, wheels him out of the insane asylum out to this pretty badass limo, and then just, like, yeets the wheelchair after he throws him in the limo. And we get the most gangster ending, because, like, you know, Amit / Harrow's in the back, and you see Conchu just chill in the limo in, like, instead of like the mummy rags he's been in the whole movie, he's now wearing like the 3-piece suit, kind of like the Mr. Knight personality, just chilling, like freaking legs crossed, like, what's up, homie? And he's like, oh, Conchu, you can't do shit to me. You don't have an avatar, like, you know. He's like, oh, well, see, the thing you don't realize is Mark's way crazier than he thinks he is. I want you to meet my friend. Like, knocks on the glass, Jake Lockley, and he turns around and it's like, he says like, it's time for you to lose, and then just freaking double taps him with the silenced pistol. I'm like, it's the most fucking gangster shit I've seen.
Yeah, I want to see more of that.
And drives off in the limo with the plates that say Spectre. Oh. So where do you think we go from here? I mean, I don't think there's another series, or at least it's not been announced. With the exception of Loki, all of these Marvel series have been limited series where it's like a one and done storyline, and then this will tie into some movies later on.
Oh, of course it will. I mean, you know, we're going to have the whole fucking multiverse, so everything's going to be a part of everything.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if we're going to see Moon Knight again in another series, or we got to wait till a future movie to...
I mean, I think it would be cool to see Moon Knight, but instead of, you know, Egyptian gods or something, maybe we, you know, go with the Greek gods. Like, and that may very well lead us into Moonlight, you know, meeting Odin and Thor and, you know, all this other shit.
We've already seen from, like, the new Thor trailer, which is, that, like, the Egyptian gods and the Greek gods, and it's like, all these gods exist, and they even say in Moon Knight that, he's like, well, this is our version of the afterlife. There's several versions, because we've seen, like, the Wakandan afterlife. It's like, so it's like all the gods, like, exist in the Marvel universe under different, like, I guess, planes of reality. So, yeah, I don't know if we'll see Moon Knight again before we get another series or something in a movie, because, you know, there's that Blade movie coming out at some point. There's been rumors that they're doing the Midnight Suns movie, or series. So, I mean, we're definitely going to have to see the Moon Knight again. But what's funny is, like, I wonder how Mark and Steven are going to realize we're still having that sleepwalking thing. Did you take off today? Wasn't me. Or one day there's like, hey, Mark, summon the suit. Let's see if Conchu really did let us go. And he summons the suit, and he's like, Conchu, you motherfucker. We could still summon the suit. That son of a bitch lied. It's like the next day. Hey, you know, Conchu's kind of lying, motherfucker. Why don't we summon the suit just to make sure we're actually free? And the suit appears, and like, God damn it. That motherfucker. I want to see that sequence.
I think you're going to. I don't know. I don't think we're done with this series, though. I don't think it is a one and done at all.
No, because there's so much more that they can do, especially if we're gonna get Blade and vampires and shit. I want to see the Moon Knight owing money, or Dracula owing Moon Knight money and having to get his ass kicked by Moon Knight. Oh, or I just want to see some of the Jake Lockley violence that we didn't get to see in this. Well, this Diesel cigar here, this fool's Aaron, not bad. I mean, it's got a it's definitely full bodied for its wee little size, and yeah, I tend to not put my cigars down to rest. I can talk and smoke at the same time. So,
dude, I'm just a gentleman, okay?
But it's, even with my rapid smoking, it's lasted hour and 20, so it's not a quick cigar despite its size. It's still at least a nice hour smoke, which like I said, I gotta recommend them, and they're not stupid expensive. They're in about the $11 price range, so it's not one of the kind of like sub $10 EDC smokes that I prefer. But if you wanna spend a couple extra bucks, it's definitely worth the experience. And I think these are going to be like a limited run, so pick them up while you can. And if you can scan the tarot card and get entered into the contest, maybe you'll win some shit.
Yay! More ashtrays.
Yeah. Well, see, I've got to the point now. I've got so many cutters and lighters that I don't have to like I leave like my everyday cutter in the car. So because I've got another cutter and lighter here in the office now, so it's like I've acquired enough shit. I can just leave stuff everywhere.
I'm at the point now to where I absolutely like. It's still cool to get a cutter lighter, but most of the time, like I use that stuff for folks that's like, well, I've never had a proper torch or anything. Great, here you go. Here's a cutter too. Like, you know, so I'll use that stuff as giveaways. But you know,
see, now I need one more.
I truly appreciate the art.
Yeah.
Like,
see, I need one more like lighter and cutter so I can leave one in my truck. I don't have to keep switching it between the car and the truck. So I need a set for each vehicle. I've got a set for one vehicle in the office. Now I need one more set so I don't have to take my lighter and cutters out of the vehicle. I can just leave. No matter what car I drive, I've got my smoking accoutrement ready to go.
Notice nobody ever gives away cans of butane.
Yeah, that would be pretty brilliant. Yeah, they need to fucking do that. It's a good fucking idea. I gotta bring that up at the next, like, hey, y'all doing an event? Y'all want to give some of this fucking Zycar butane away? But with that, I think the moon is going down, and we will be right back. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds Podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com. We're on the ESO Network at esonetwork.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Cigar Nerd Pod. Remember, smoke 'em as you got 'em. Like, comment, and subscribe.